You've lost arguments you were right about, not because you were wrong, but because the other person cheated with tricks that sound exactly like logic. And there are 12 of them. They win kitchen fights, comment sections, and office meetings every single day. And here's the uncomfortable part. You've used at least 3 of them yourself. By the end of this video, you'll spot every single one mid-sentence, including in your own mouth. Let's start with the trick that turns a small opinion into a war crime. Noodle says, "Maybe we could cook at home a bit more." His partner gasps. "Oh, so I'm a terrible cook now? So we can never order pizza again? Why do you hate joy?" Noodle turns around. Behind him stands a dummy made of straw, wearing his shirt, getting absolutely destroyed. He never said any of those things. Here's the trick. Your real point is hard to beat. So instead, they build a dumber version of it, out of straw, and beat that one up in public. And you spend the whole fight defending words that never left your mouth. If you're saying, "That's not what I said, it already worked," that's the straw man. Ever defended an opinion you don't even have? You just did it. This next one doesn't answer the point. It changes whose trial it is. Noodle says, "You told me you'd do the dishes." His roommate nods slowly. "Interesting. And who left a plate in the sink in March? Who was that?" And suddenly Noodle is the one on trial, explaining a plate from months ago, while today's dishes sit right there, still dirty. Here's the move. When you can't defend what you did, you attack what they did. The topic quietly slides from your mistake to theirs. And if it works, they end up apologizing to you. Both things can be true. Both things can be bad. But only one of them was the question. That's whataboutism. Started a sentence with, "Well, what about you? Anytime this month?" You just did it. Next, why the guy with the weakest argument goes after your haircut. Noodle presents a chart in a meeting. The numbers are clear. The plan works. Then his rival leans back and says, "Sure, listen to the guy who microwaves fish in the office kitchen." The room laughs. The chart dies. Nobody ever talks about the numbers again. Here's the move. If the argument is too strong to attack the person holding it. Their style, their past, their lunch. If the audience stops trusting the speaker, they never check the math. But a true sentence doesn't become false because someone weird says it. The fish and the numbers live in different universes. That's ad hominem. Ever thrown away good advice because you didn't like the person it came from? You just did it. This next one is not an argument. It's a trap wearing a question mark. At family dinner, Noodle's aunt smiles and asks, "So, are you still wasting your life on that little internet thing?" Noodle opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. Because look at his options. Yes means, "I'm wasting my life." No means, "I admit I was wasting it before." The question already convicted him. It just wants a signature. Here's the trick. A claim gets smuggled inside a question, and the moment you answer, you've accepted it. The only winning move is to refuse the package. "I was never wasting it" is an answer. Picking yes or no is a confession. That's the loaded question. Ever asked someone, "Why do you always overreact?" You just did it. Next up, the trick that shrinks 100 doors down to 2. Noodle's boss puts a hand on his shoulder. Either you take the weekend shift, or you don't care about this team. Noodle stares at 2 doors. One says, "Weekend." One says, "Traitor." What he can't see is the curtain behind the boss, covering 98 other doors. Swap shifts, share the work, plan better. Here's the trick. Real problems come with many options. This move deletes all of them except 2. Their idea and something horrible. Next to horrible, anything looks reasonable. If both choices feel bad, stop choosing and start looking for the curtain. That's the false dilemma. Ever said, "You're either with me or against me"? You just did it. This next one turns a tiny step into the end of the world in under 10 seconds. Noodle asks, "Could I leave 10 minutes early on Friday?" His boss goes pale. Then everyone leaves early. Then nobody works Fridays. Then the company collapses. Then the economy collapses. Is that what you want, Noodle? The economy? Noodle just wanted to catch a bus. Here's the trick. A small step gets chained to a disaster through a row of and thens, and not one link comes with proof. Each step sounds barely possible, so the whole chain feels solid. But a chain of maybes multiplies down to almost never. Agreeing to one step is not agreeing to the staircase. That's the slippery slope. Ever said, "If we allow this, where does it end?" You just did it. Next, the argument you can win 5 times and still lose. Noodle's friend crosses his arms. Name one study. Noodle names one. Well, one study proves nothing. Noodle brings 5. Those are old. He brings new ones. Studies can say anything these days. Picture it. A goal on little wheels. Every time Noodle scores, the goal quietly rolls 10 meters back, and his friend points at the empty net like nothing happened. Here's the trick. The demand for proof was never real. Meeting the standard just moves the standard, because being convinced was never the plan. can. So before you run for evidence, ask one question first. What proof would actually change your mind? If the honest answer is nothing, save your legs. That's moving the goalposts. Ever raised the bar because you'd already decided? You just did it. This next one doesn't beat your argument. It kidnaps the conversation. Noodle says, "You forgot our anniversary." His partner nods seriously. You know what the real problem is? Your mother calls way too often. 10 minutes later, they're arguing about phone plans. The anniversary is never mentioned again. Here's where the name comes from. Hunters used to drag a strong-smelling fish across the trail to test their dogs. Weak dogs left the real scent and chased the fish. In arguments, the fish is any juicy side topic. Throw it, and everyone sprints after it, while the original question quietly starves in the corner. The counter is one sentence. Nice topic. Back to the anniversary. That's the red herring. Ever change the subject the exact second you started losing? You just did it. Next, the story that beats 1,000 numbers. Noodle mentions that studies say people need sleep. His friend slams a framed photo on the table. My Uncle Tony slept 4 hours a night, ate pizza for breakfast, and lived to 99. Argument over. The photo of Uncle Tony sits there like a trophy on top of a crushed pile of studies. Here's why it works. Your brain runs on faces and stories, not spreadsheets. One vivid uncle feels heavier than 10,000 data points. But one lucky person doesn't cancel the average. Somebody wins the lottery every single week. That doesn't make lottery tickets a retirement plan. It makes them a story. That's anecdotal evidence. Ever ended a discussion with, "Well, it worked for me"? You just did it. This one can sell you anything, as long as the label is green. Noodle is at a market stall. The vendor spreads his arms. Everything here is 100% natural. Noodle buys the whole table. Then he reads the sign at the next stall. Also 100% natural. A scorpion, poison ivy, an angry wasp nest, and a small volcano. Here's the trick. Natural feels like another word for safe and good. It isn't. Arsenic is natural. Snake venom is natural. Standing outside in a thunderstorm, extremely natural. And plenty of unnatural things keep you alive every day, like glasses, seatbelts, and the phone you're watching this on. The word tells you where something came from. It says nothing about whether it's good for you. That's the appeal to nature. Ever paid double because the box said natural? You just did it. The next one sounds like an explanation, but it's a treadmill. Noodle asks a salesman, "Why is this the best phone? Because it's better than all the others." "And why is it better?" "Because it's the best one." Noodle nods, walks away, and stops. Wait. He follows a little sign that says, "Proof this way," walks a full circle, and arrives exactly where he started. Same spot. Zero new information. It works with people too. Trust me, I'm honest. How do you know? Because I never lie. Says who? Me. Here's the trick. The claim gets hired as its own proof, wearing a different shirt. The sentences keep moving, so it feels like progress, but nothing new ever enters the loop. If the reason is just the claim in new words, you're on a treadmill. That's circular reasoning. Ever explained a rule with, "Because that's the rule"? You just did it. The last one is the boss level, because it wins without playing. Noodle's friend says, "There's an invisible dragon living in my garage." Noodle asks for proof. The friend smiles. "No. You prove there isn't one. Can't? Then I'm right." And now Noodle is spending his Saturday in a garage, pointing a flashlight at nothing, trying to photograph an absence. Here's the rule this trick breaks. Whoever makes the claim carries the proof. That's the whole deal. The trick flips it. They claim, you disprove. And since nobody can prove a nothing, they win by default. But "you can't prove I'm wrong" is not evidence. It's homework they refuse to do, handed to you with a smile. A tiny teapot could be orbiting the sun right now. Can't disprove it. Still not buying it a birthday card. That's the burden of proof. Ever typed, "Prove me wrong"? You just did it. So, 12 tricks that sound like logic, and at least one of them has beaten you this month. That's fine. A fallacy only wins while it has no name, and now you have all 12. Next week, we go after the biggest liar of all, your own memory, because it doesn't record your life, it rewrites it. Every trick your memory plays on you explained. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And tell me in the comments, which one got you? Be honest. Use your noodle. See you in the next one.